Right,
hold the clutch in while you start, yeah.
We got this new drift wagon project we're starting.
Really, it's Field Rescue. It's probably a more appropriate title than Drift Wagon. It's a 2001 540 IT, so the title says. It could be anything. It's probably a Cash for Clunkers car that has a title for a different car, but we have it now. This motor was pulled out of a recently wrecked 540i sedan. It's the same as the stock motor. It's a M62 TU, which is about 280 horsepower stock. This one, with most of the cylinders, probably makes at least 200 still. We've got some mix of M5 parts up here. It's actually M5 expansion tank and like shroud and fan. A lot of these are actually takeoffs from my M5. Good thing about the E39 540 and the E39 M5, they are for the most part the same car. So they share a lot of parts. In fact, the motor is very similar, other than it's 4.4 liter and the M5 is 4.9. We don't know what happened to this car. A lot of the wires, and by a lot I mean all of the wires, are cut. It looks like somebody started to part the car out, and when we got it, actually didn't have any front clip whatsoever. So I think they basically just, whoever was pulling the car apart, just cut all the wires instead of trying to disconnect them all, just to get parts off faster. There is definitely an oil leak right here going on with the donor motor, which we haven't figured out yet. And then one of the biggest problems actually is this motor has a water-cooled alternator, and I'm gonna have to get the trunk open. The jacket for the water-cooled alternator is part of the lower timing cover, which is to say it's very difficult to get to. And ours has a huge crack in it. So if, for example, you try to put some coolant in the car, it won't hold any. So this right now is our #1 problem, is that we've got a huge crack in the lower timing cover, and to get the lower timing cover out, we'll have to pull the radiator, shroud, and fan, expansion tank, and the accessories off, and actually have to pull the crank harmonic balancer off, and I think the valve covers, and a couple other things. It's a big pain just to get the timing cover off. And the other issue is that we can't seem to find one. You can still buy them new, but they're about 500 bucks. And because they're $500 new, everyone who's got a junk car wants $200 plus shipping for it. So we're kind of at an impasse with that right now. But in the meantime, we're trying to make sure that it actually runs, which I think it will now. I just put in a new fuel pump. Interesting fact about the fuel tank, it was full of garbage. I'm not saying like, oh, it had sediment in it. Like, it was literally full of garbage. It was newspapers, a couple of interior trim pieces were in there, like parts of what was the fuel pump, but the fuel pump itself was missing. But now it's got a fuel pump, it's got new level senders. I repaired all the wires. I was able to get those neatly repaired. And so put 10 gallons of gas in it. I think it will work now. I don't think the tachometer is going to be working, and I don't think the coolant temperature gauge is going to be working because we got some wires that are cut. But it should theoretically move under its own power right up until it overheats in like 20 seconds and we crack the block. So basically, we'll be able to crank it up, make sure it runs, and then shut it off, and that's it.
This thing was an automatic at one point, and you did the manual swap.
Yeah, so all of the 540 Tourings in the United States were automatic, unfortunately. You could get 540 sedans that were 6-speed, but all the Tourings like this were auto. In Europe and other places, you could get manual ones, so it's not like a custom job. You just take all the manual parts, which actually are pretty much the exact same as what's in the M5, and put them in here. So the swap really wasn't too bad because we didn't have to like fabricate anything. It just bolts in. And it's cool that now you got a manual wagon, but most people who do the manual wagon builds do it to a nicer one, not one that was pulled out of a field and is scratched up and in terrible shape. But that's what we did because we're idiots. All right, Grant, you ready to crank it up?
All right.
All right, I gotta get over here so I can make sure the fuel thing doesn't leak. Am I rolling still or no?
In gear or anything, right?
It is not in gear. I don't think you have to hold the clutch in, but you probably should just so that you feel better.
All right.
Are we still rolling here?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm over here because this is, I just repaired this. I want to make sure that doesn't leak. So.
There's the key.
Oh, you don't need a key. Yeah, you do need a key. It's in my pocket. It's the only key, so don't lose it.
Clutch in.
Yep. Alright, give it a rest. I just emptied the fuel system out.
Yo, do you want me to give it some gas or no?
No, you shouldn't need to. Hold on, we put the charger on jump charge. Give it a second. No, but I had undone this, so all the fuel pressure that I had built up, it doesn't, the priming doesn't work. So normally, like when you first get in there and you turn the key, the pump runs to prime it. This doesn't seem to be working, but the pump does run when it's as you're cranking. So when I got it to run before, I had to attempt several times to get it to crank.
This is going to be the most ridiculous drift car. It's humongous.
I think it's going to end up. I think it's just going to end up in the trash somewhere. All right, go ahead and put the key over to 1. Hold the, like I said, hold the clutch in.
Over to 1.
All right, so the fuel gauge is working.
Yeah.
All right, give it a second, but don't like hold it down forever because you'll probably kill the battery.
Right,
Hold the clutch in while you start. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Alright, so there it is in all its glory. You'll notice that the coolant gauge didn't peg red, which is what it did last time I started it, and the jack kept working. I think it's because those 2 wires I just repaired for the ABS module. So already we have made progress in the last hour.
That sounds good.
Yeah, doesn't it? Overheaders V8, right? But yeah, speaking of stuff not working right, the previous owner at some point took like a hacksaw to the headliner in several spots, and they actually started a fire back here. You can see where it melted some of the headliner down there. So we gotta get the headliner out because it looks like hell.
Yeah.
But fun story. Stand here for a second.
Yeah, we had colonies of bugs and ants and spiders.
We have beaten the ants though. I killed the ants.
But the radio works.
The radio works.
What the heck?
Only 2 of the speakers.
And this thing sat in a field for how long? 6 years?
6 years. Yeah.
6 years in a field.
This is the most altruistic BMW project I've ever taken on. No one should do this. All right, man. Well, you ready to pull some nasty old carpet out?
Yep. All right. So we're going to get back working on the car, and hopefully we'll get this running pretty soon. Stay tuned for the next video.